Now that the year 2022 has come to an end, it's time now to look back at the best films and TV shows from 2022, as well as some dishonorable mentions to boot. The criteria for all these choices is that the TV shows or films reviewed in this video have had to be released in the year of 2022. At number 5 is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is an action comedy film directed by Tim Gormican, and it stars Nicolas Cage as a fictionalized version of himself, alongside a supporting cast of Pedro Pascal, Sharon Horgan, Ike Baronetz, Neil Patrick Harris, and Tiffany Haddish. I absolutely loved this film, and it was wonderful to see Nicolas Cage at his best once again, here taking the complete, utter Mickey out of himself. This is a film that never takes itself too seriously. It's completely fun, it's completely over the top, and it's full of action as well to boot. And Pedro Pascal is absolutely superb in this one. It's a great fun movie if you just want to forget about the troubles of the world. At number 4, it's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which of course is based on the Marvel Books character of Black Panther. This is the 30th film released in the MCU and directed by Ryan Coogler. And it stars Letitia Wright here as Shuri and taking over the mantle of Black Panther. I found this to be the best film within the MCU universe this year. I found it emotional, moving, because it paid beautiful tribute to the wonderful late great Chadwick Boseman, who of course played the iconic Black Panther in the previous incarnations. This film also touches on serious culture issues. It speaks to diversity, and it speaks to our past atrocities as the human race. I found this to be a very powerful, emotive film, with superb performances, an excellent story, and a superb, interesting antagonist. This is by far and away one of the most interesting movies that's come out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in quite some time. In at number 3 is Bullet Train, which stars Brad Pitt as a thief who must battle killers riding a bullet train. The film is directed by David Lynch, and it is based on the 2010 novel Maria Beetle, titled Bullet Train in the UK and the US edition. Now, I find myself absolutely loving this film. It's a real action comedy thriller, and all the cast just seem to have so much fun while making it. Brad Pitt plays these kind of offbeat roles particularly well, but it's also the rest of the cast that stood out for me, particularly like Brian Tyree Henry, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Michael Shannon, and of course, Joey King. I found this film entertaining from start to finish. It almost is done in a sort of Quentin Tarantino-esque style, with over-the-top action, hilarious comedic bits, and fantastic witty dialogue. And it's one of those films that's done in a tongue-in-cheek style and never takes itself too seriously. And therefore it gets my number 3 ranking in 2022. In at number 2 is Baz Luhrmann's 2022 biographical film on the life and times of Elvis Presley, simply named Elvis. It stars Austin Butler playing Elvis and Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker. And the movie is told from the perspective of his manager, Parker, whose financial abuse of him is a major focus. I've always been a big fan of Baz Luhrmann's over-the-top spectacles, but this one particularly had a lot of emotional resonance here. I thought Austin Butler was absolutely brilliant as Elvis Presley, and Tom Hanks delivered another fantastic performance here as the complicated and enigmatic Colonel Tom Parker. As in typical Baz Luhrmann style, it's completely over-the-top, overdone, but that's what makes it oh so unique and so special, and it gets my number 2 best film of the year. In at number 1, and my best film of the year, has to go to none other than The Batman. Of course, based on the DC comic books hero, the film is directed by Matt Reeves and stars Robert Pattinson, now taking over the mantle as Bruce Wayne Batman, alongside Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, Jeffrey Wright, John Turturro, Peter Sarsgaard, Andy Serkis, and the brilliant Colin Farrell. The film sees Batman, who's fighting crime in Gotham City for 2 years, uncover corruption while pursuing the Riddler played by Dano, a serial killer who targets Gotham's elite. This was a complete return to form for the phenomenal Batman character, one of my absolute favorites within film and comic book history. Here we see a dark, brooding version of the character, a huge step away from what the DCEU had unfortunately created with Ben Affleck at the helm. This film was long, it was serious, it was dramatic, and Robert Pattinson really dug in deep to bring a very sort of grunge-like Batman to life, and I absolutely loved it. This brought Batman back to ground level, exactly where the character should be, as a serious, dark, brooding character who is very enigmatic and complicated. Not only that though, the performance here, particularly by Paul Dano and Colin Farrell here as the Riddler and Penguin, was absolutely breathtaking, as well as of course Zoe Kravitz playing a fantastic version here of Catwoman. This film was absolutely perfect from start to finish, and I cannot wait to see what they do next within this new franchise. It was by far and away the best Batman movie on screen since, of course, the wonderful Dark Knight trilogy. And therefore, it gets the best film of the year in 2022. Now for the dishonorable mention, and arguably the worst film that I watched all year in 2022. This has to go to Morbius, the American superhero film based on the Marvel comic books character of the same name, and it stars Jared Leto as Dr. Michael Morbius, who along with his surrogate brother Milo, here played by the usually very talented Matt Smith, become living vampires after curing themselves of a rare blood disease. Unfortunately, this film was a complete and utter miss. The acting was poor, the dialogue was shoddy, and the film just had no real proper story to it. It really is a letdown when you think of the source material and how good it could have been. It's by far and away the most disappointing and by far and away the worst made film of 2022. Now let's discuss my top 5 TV shows of the year. I found this to be a very challenging category to choose from as there are so many fantastic TV shows. So let's give some honorable mentions firstly. Blackberg was an American crime miniseries developed by Dennis Lian and is based on the 2010 autobiographical novel In the Devil, a Fallen Hero, a Serial Killer, and a Dangerous Bargain of Redemption by James Keane. The 6-episode miniseries, which starred a phenomenal performance here by Taron Egerton and Paul Walter Hauser, was an excellent, breathtaking show about a real-life serial killer and a con man trying now to get him to tell the truth. As I said, the performances in this one were absolutely spellbinding, and I really hope these two actors get more recognition for these fantastic performances. Then, of course, there was The Staircase, starring Colin Firth as Michael Peterson, a writer convicted of murdering his wife Kathleen Peterson, played by the brilliant Toni Collette, who was found dead at the bottom of a staircase in their home. This was also a groundbreaking, fascinating series with phenomenal performances here, particularly from Firth and Toni Collette. And what more can I say about the fantastic show Yellow Jackets, American thriller drama series, which involves a group of teenagers in a plane crash in 1996, and how now they have to survive on their wits and in the wild. The show also goes back between their adult counterparts, brilliantly acted, intriguing and fascinating. You cannot wait to see where the series will take us next. Then of course there was another wonderful season of one of my favorite shows, The Boys. Basically a story of what happens when superheroes go bad. This show is violent, it doesn't apologize, and the storyline is excellent as long as with some superb acting performances, and I cannot wait for season 4. Then of course there was another brilliant season of the wonderful show Euphoria, with a superb performance particularly in this season here by the wonderful Zendaya. As always, the show challenges and keeps you guessing. It's well written, it's beautifully made, and I cannot wait to see more. And then of course there was the fantastic season 2 of White Lotus. Mike White has created something absolutely special with this series, and instead of now focusing on the same characters and in the same location, he moves it now to the wonderful island of Sicily, with a whole new cast and new stories, with the exception of course of the wonderful Jennifer Coolidge returning as the enigmatic and strange Tanya. This series delves into infidelity and of course uses the backdrop of Sicily as a beautiful storyteller. The series intrigues and keeps you fascinated throughout, and I cannot wait to see where he takes us in Season 3. At number 5 is Stranger Things Season 4. The 4th season of the American science fiction drama absolutely blew me away. Just when I thought the show really couldn't do much more, it just took it to a new level. And of course, who can forget the iconic use of Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill? And also now the addition of a phenomenal performance here by Jamie Campbell-Bower as Vecna. The show was spellbinding, kept you on the edge of your seat, and was brilliantly well done, and really took the show to a new height and new level. And at number 4 was The Crown Season 5. Albeit met with a lot of controversy, I've always found the show to be so classfully made and so sophisticated, with some magnificent, excellent performances. This season now sees Imelda Staunton star as Elizabeth, along with other cast members Jonathan Pryce, Leslie Manville, Johnny Lee Miller, Dominic West, and the wonderful Elizabeth Debicki, as of course now playing the iconic Princess Diana. The season, of course, asks so many questions about the point of the monarchy, should they even really exist, and of course covers all the 90s drama of Diana being the rebellious princess that didn't want to follow the system. In at number 3 is the fantastic British crime drama television series Gangs of London. Season 1 absolutely blew me away and was one of those shows that you just could not get out of your mind, and I was happy to see that Season 2 left nothing to chance. This series just keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout. The story is intense, the acting is excellent, and my goodness, that violence, what more can I say? It's one of those shows that keeps you guessing throughout and leaves you breathless after each and every episode. You almost feel drained after watching it because it's just so intense, so dramatic, and just so well produced. In at number 2 is House of the Dragon, an American fantasy drama television series created by George R.R. Martin, of course, who wrote the wonderful Game of Thrones series. This, of course, acts as a prequel. And for a show that I wasn't expecting much, well, it delivered in spades. This is a brilliant, superbly made show that really is much more focused than Game of Thrones and really focuses far more on the actual characters rather than relying on violence and big action sequences. But don't worry, those are there too, of course, and the phenomenal CGI, as well as the multi-layered, fantastic acting performances by each one of the characters, is just superb to watch, and the series just takes your breath away as you cannot wait to see what will happen in each and every episode. And my number 1 show for 2022 is Severance, an American science fiction psychological thriller television series created by Dan Erickson and directed by Ben Stiller. It stars a fantastic performance here by Adam Scott, who plays Mark, an employee of Lumen Industries, who agrees to a severance program in which his non-work memories are separated from his work memories. Going into the show, I was somewhat skeptical. I just didn't see really where it was going to go, but the show just got more and more fascinating and interesting. It is so clever, it is so original, from the opening sequence at the start with the haunting piano tune, to just the characters that of course are so diverse and fascinating. This show just leaves you wanting more, and wow, what an ending to the series. What a cliffhanger. And it just leaves you with so many questions that needs to be answered. In the same breath, though, the show also speaks to so many aspects of society. It's so well written, it's so well made, and I cannot wait for season 2. Another fantastic year for television and movies in 2022, and we cannot wait to see what 2023 brings.